Welcome back to the Rally Report. We got a second timer once again on the pod, and for very good reason, which we'll dig into later. And he's on his last season at Harvard, currently holds the undefeated record at the top spot, really needs no introduction. But welcome back, Marwan Tarek. What's up?
Thanks a lot, Sean. Thanks for having me. And it's been a while, but I'm happy to be back on your podcast for sure.
Let's go. Glad to have you on. We were just discussing how unbelievably cold it is right now in the East Coast, and especially New York and Boston. But good weekend to have you on. We're in the latter half of the college season, and we're looking at the grand finale of both nationals and individuals of your career. Before we dig into that, I wanted to kind of talk about just the casual squash talk, and wanted to get your take on a couple happenings right now. I don't know if you're caught up, but it seems that your old teammate Victor and the new world number one are going at it on the socials. Have you been reading what the articles have been coming out?
I saw an article on Twitter. Had I think Victor was mentioned in it, and I usually just read Victor's
takes.
It's a post in general. I feel I'm not obviously not taking sides or anything, but the fact that everyone should speak on what's on their mind, the fact that he's he's feeling that on court and he's just expressing it. It makes everyone feel that he's being honest, and he's just not just being saying something and then acting a different way, or feeling something and not saying it. So
yeah. No, I think it's been great. Victor's been a breath of fresh air in terms of that, giving, especially his Instagram posts every tournament. He kind of gives into the, he kind of gives you the post game conference, press conference. He does it himself.
I feel it's a big part of his personality in general. Just he's always very analytical of everything that happens in his game. Even when we were on the team together, he would text me a long paragraph of our match and what I should have done better, what he did well, and I should be careful about next time we play. So I feel this is something that made him where he is right now, just being so on top of his game and always reflecting and learning from every match. So yeah, I feel he's definitely one of a kind. I can't think of anyone who does the same thing, but it just keeps him unique, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So were you at least a little bit surprised on how quickly he had moved up the rankings, or were you I've always seen this coming?
Thing is, Victor is kind of different than Gina, for example, because Gina did not play during college, right? Gina did not play a single PSA, I think, maybe one satellite, and then after the 4 years, it was 1 year where she made that big jump in the ranking. But Victor was consistently playing when he was in college and getting better season by season, year by year. So I thought it was about time that he would get in maybe top 20 and top 10 now, especially with a lot of the key players having struggles with injuries and stuff. He's up there with them, but when they get injured, he's gonna have quicker access to the top, So
yeah, it's good opportunity, everything put together, right time, right place.
Yeah, credit to him. He took advantage of that, and he's now number 9. I think he's knocking on the number 8 spot. And, he beat a lot of people ahead of him. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy because I think it was either this morning or yesterday that Mustafa Sal came out with his article today saying that Victor's just very jealous of him. Which which is why I thought this was crazy. And he kind of just backfired on all of Victor's points, saying also Victor didn't check in on me when I was sick at TOC a bit. It was a bad taste, is what he said on the Squash Mad, giving the Squash Mad a huge plug right now. So, great article just to get the gossip going. Yeah.
Yeah, people need that. People just need to know the insight of how do PSA players feel about each other. So
I just realized you were teammates with both at one point, right? With the Egyptian national team juniors, and so both your teammates in a sense.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like both of them off court are like, like good friends of mine, and up until now, like I see, like Victor, obviously, like we're very tight, very close. Assad as well. Like when I see him back home, because we live in the same like neighborhood back in Egypt, so like whenever I see him by shooting club, which is like the club I train at, and he sometimes comes along. Like we're like still like good friends. Like we like joke around. It's they're like nice people, but like now that this is like their profession, like everyone just like there's gonna be tension. There's gonna be kind of
yeah, a lot of tension going on. I mean, it's good. It's good that both these guys are pretty young. I think a lot in the top 10 are kind of on the 26 and above age range, and these guys both of them are pretty on the young end. So it's good for the sport, I think. It's kind of funny that you mentioned about how analytical Victor was. You kind of miss it with him not being there this season, with him giving.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
yeah.
I think I said that on the last podcast, and we talked about it for a while. Like him, like he's a big part of my college squash experience, and not having him here, just like training with him every day, talking about squash, watching PSA together, is like, of course, it's something that I miss a lot. But we still like I think keep in touch. Like he watches most of our matches. He follows like our matches, all the time. So
Team says he's your biggest fan. I think he submitted a question too. Saying he's Marwan's biggest fan.
Yeah, no, he's just like he loves the sport so much. He loves the team so much. So it's always good to like have him, by your side. Like this is the type of guy you would want on your team. So,
yeah. But yeah, kind of shifting gears here on the main topic instead of the squash talk. I mean, we're still on the squash talk, but I wanted to talk about this season with you. We're towards not to make this emotional and all, but it's the end of your CSA career. We're heading there, and you're having a fucking amazing run right now. Currently at the top of the ladder. I looked it up: 10 wins, 0 losses. Been pushed to 5 twice by both Ali Hussein and Veer Rani, and a feisty battle against Trinity. Would love to get a little insight on the little match recaps, because I love doing the match recaps with you. Of
course,
and which with those matches, and which you found most difficult, and just give us a run through of those.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like sometimes I think the record doesn't show how like challenging the matches were, and like how it was like very tough to people look at like 10 wins and they're like, oh, okay, but it was
cruising
like, even the 3 even the 3 love wins and 3-1 wins were like kind of as tough as like the 3-2 wins, So like playing Ali and Veer was always gonna be like a tough match. We all know like how well they're doing now in the PSA, and like how much like they want to help their team like win matches, like put their team on board. So it was definitely tough. Like the thing is, like there was nothing unexpected about these matches. Like Ali, the good thing about Ali's match was like it was in the fall, so I kind of like had like my full focus on that match. Like we have.
Oh, you're looking for it, yeah.
Exactly, our tough match this fall is like UVA, so like all focus for that game. I was of course like very lucky to like have it at home on like our glass court, which is a court.
I'm sure you got all your friends coming in.
I love so much. Yeah, I got a bunch of my friends coming in. So that was like I think I played like one of like my best matches this season against Ali Hussein. However, he also like played I think so well. Like he you always know that it's gonna be a battle with him. So that was that was expected.
I think I caught that, and I think Ollie texted me saying that he was cramping all over the place.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. Yeah, it seemed like a big marathon.
I felt, and like I think it was 2 hours 10 minutes.
Oh my god!
Duration. So
Jesus.
To be honest, he had 2 blood injury breaks. So
yeah, but that's what you get with Ollie. He always bleeds everywhere. So.
But yeah, I mean, there was like some tension on court, of course, between the two of us, but it's always been that case. Like we've always had that.
Do you like it when it kind of gets into the head games and kind of do you think you thrive off of that, or is that something that you don't like at all and you try to stay away from?
Because I think like if you ask anyone, they're gonna be like no one wants that. Like you just want the game to go smoothly as possible.
Mhm.
But sometimes, just in the heat of things, like one person might get carried away, and shit happens. So
Shit happens.
yeah. So like, there's no like plan of like, oh, like let's make the match beefy or anything. It's just like ideally everyone would have like a smooth match, like play their squash. But when it happens, and just you gotta adapt.
Yeah, and you're not one to back down on that, so that's been pretty clear.
So yeah, Veer's match also knew that it was like a very tough one. I like saw the podcast of both actually.
Let's go.
Ali and Veer. I watched them. Like I knew how much like this season meant to them.
Mm.
So I knew going to Cornell it was gonna be like very tough. On like just like playing on his court, because like Cornell is like front wall, side wall, and then glass.
Yeah, very confused. I hate. Yeah, those are super annoying. Yeah,
it was like my second time playing there. I remember when I played there sophomore year, I wasn't as comfortable on court. So, first wave, which was I think a good thing, because like you always want to just like finish off. I would like start the earliest, because you don't want to just watch your matches like ref. Don't know when to eat and when to like keep warming up and stopping. So it was also like a very tough match. I took a 2-love lead and felt like, oh, I might close that 1-3, but then like obviously like Veer, he's like very skilled and like very talented. He fought back, was very like smart with how he played. To be honest, like since like the start, like he moved me around pretty well. I kind of started feeling it in the third and fourth, but then like obviously like big push in the fifth, and it was like anyone's match, and I just happened to.
Seems to be pretty decisive on the fifth game, though. That you seem to be pulling away with these guys. I was looking at the scores as well. Haven't been pushed to a tie break in the fifth yet.
Yeah. I mean, big match coming up against Matthias.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw that on the schedule. I'm sure both are hyped.
Yeah, the last time we played, it was in 5, tie break in the fifth. So we'll see if it goes there as well.
Yeah, and then finally, you had a pretty feisty one with the Trinity number 1 Mark Sharp. That was on home court, so I guess you had that home court advantage going into this. Yeah. How'd that game feel?
I think like I know Mo from home. Like we train the same club, train with the same coach, train together like over the summer, train together a lot. So I knew going to match was gonna be like tough. I know how he plays in general. Like I know he can be very dangerous when he's on. So always like you just gotta make sure like going into the match that like you don't give him any of the things that he wants. But I feel like in the middle of the match, like it got a little bit physical between us. I was like in the end expecting like I do with Ali Abu or like Ali Hussein or like other guys, that just like a good like shake. We just like what happens on court stays on court. But he was like I don't think was feeling the same way. But I think in general I think in general like we're usually like we're good friends in general. Like he's close with my younger brother. Like I'm close with him in general. So like of course wasn't ideal what happened. But yeah, like nothing, no hard feelings there. Like what happens on court stays on court. Like I know he's a good guy in general. I know the guy. Like we hang out together. So back home. So. Nothing there.
Well, here Marwan out here playing the peace guy, not trying to stir anything up.
I'm speaking my head. Trust me, like I'm speaking what's on my mind. I because like like this is like my last year. Like I don't wanna be like
ruin every relationship possible out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to just like be beefy with anyone. I just wanna like enjoy my last season of college squash. Like enjoy it with my teammates, like with other teams. Just enjoy the competition, and that's it.
Well, I guess I kind of wanted to ask you about that. Like, how are you feeling about this season and the team you have, and like must be really different from the previous seasons? Are you feeling a different type of pressure, considering you're maybe on the top spot, the dynamics? Yeah,
Yeah, I think like personally, I just feel like old because like we have so many young guys on the team. So
Yeah.
it always feels like I look at them and I feel like, oh, when I was a freshman, how I was feeling like about like the seniors on the team, and now I'm the senior and they're the freshmen. So it kind of feels different in a sense of just when you remember like the time frame and the different people who were on the team. But I feel this year in general, we got so lucky with our freshman class. Great guys. Like they usually like the seniors kind of like establish the culture on the team, but like I feel like this year we didn't need like George and I didn't need to establish anything or like didn't need to like enforce anything because the freshmen came in like super hungry, super like wanting to like get better, wanting to win. So it was just kind of riding along.
Just let it happen.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot to live up to for freshmen, so I guess with the season you have, and now,
and to be honest, they're living up to it. Like I feel like I always say that to like Mike. I always say that to George. I feel like the freshmen this year are gonna like carry like the good culture that the seniors when I was a freshman left on the team, and like Timmy, Sean, Saad, these people like left a good culture on the team of like we like during the season during like 5-6 months starting September until like March, we like grind our hearts out and then like we have fun after. And this is what the freshmen like were on board with. This is what they wanted when they came in. So I feel really good, and I feel like in general as a team, like apart from the freshmen and like the seniors, I like the juniors, the sophomores, like everyone's getting better. Everyone's just like putting everything out there like every single day. So whatever outcome happens at the end of season, I don't think we're gonna look back and like regret not trying harder or anything. I think we're on the right path.
And I guess Nationals coming up in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you how much this would mean to you, considering it would be a clean sweep 4 for 4, right? And I don't think a lot of people can say that they've done that in their collegiate career. And knowing you and how hungry you are, I'm sure you want this badly.
Of course. I mean, like if you ask anyone, that's like a dream come true of like having 4 national titles. But when you like think about it too much, it kind of like adds stress. So like I'm not trying to think about it that much, and I think this is why I was kind of consistent this year. So like I'm taking like every match at a time. Like no need to just look like so far ahead. That we got like Tufts on like Tuesday. We got like St. Lawrence and Drexel this weekend. So just enjoy literally like every day of competition, and nationals like will be ready. I think like every guy on the team want it as bad as I want it. They always tell me like So I mean, in general, the feeling of having 4 titles is like insane, of course, but I don't know. Like I don't want to like usually don't want to feel like, oh, I'm so desperate to have it, because now like I don't want to add any like pressure or expectation. I'd rather like think about like I'm very excited to play like my last season. So.
All right, it seems like you're in a good headspace for it. And finally, I cannot not talk about the Penn and Harvard rivalry that's really blossomed since your arrival. And I did hear how crazy that 5-4 victory was over Penn. Honestly, I think a lot of people had no idea how this season was going to pan out. We knew that both teams were going to lose a lot of key players. But yeah, walk us through how unbelievably wild that was. And were you guys expecting a close match? Like, how did you guys? Yeah, give me the rundown on that.
No, I feel like good question. I think like it's always very like close between us and Penn. Like they have a very strong lineup. Billy's a great coach, and Stu, of course. So like we always know that it's gonna be like a dogfight. And I think we started off like really well. We got like a 2-1 lead in the first wave. Things were going, I think, like our way. Second wave was kind of tough for us because I felt like I think we dropped 2 matches. And did we drop matches? Yeah, I think. I mean, all I can remember, to be honest, was like us being 4-3 down. Tate was 2-love down, and Neil was 2-1 down.
So that didn't look too good at the time.
Exactly, like, and then a few minutes later, Tate is like match balls down to like,
Wow.
yeah, for Penn to like win the IB title again. Well, not to win the IB title, but like to like.
But kind of is the deciding game.
Give us our first loss.
Mm-hmm.
But like again, like all credit to like these two guys, like Neil and Tate. Like what a comeback! I don't know if like you follow like the results from last season and how much progress they had over this season, and like Tate was match balls down in the third, so like we were really like 1 point away 6 times from like losing that matchup, but then he like won that one. But then Neil was like 2-1 down. I think he had like some game balls down in like the second and third, and then like came back 1-3-2, and I think it was like his first time ever beating Tushar, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow, there's some historical background there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's even like bigger because they're both, I think, from India, so like they played a lot before, and then Tate like winning the decider for us just like is very. I feel like just like. Is a good sign of like how much he worked hard this year, and like he continues to work hard. Both of them, like Neil and Tate, to be the last on and to be the ones who like have the best taste of victory because like they kind of like brought it home for us. Not to take anything away from the guys who won or like the guys who lost, of course, but like being the last on is always like the hardest part.
Nerve-wracking, yeah.
Exactly. So. Tensions were super high. I like went into like so many phases of like, oh, we're gonna win, oh, we're gonna lose, oh, we're gonna win, oh, we're gonna lose. So, but yeah, it ended up, working in our favor, and like we were so happy, of course, to beat Penn. But yeah, I always tell the guys like, yeah, guys, we had a very tough match. But we still
were you guys expecting this tough? Because I'm asking this because I remember when like I was like previewing the initial start of the CSA, I genuinely didn't comprehend how good Penn was till this 5-4 result.
Yeah.
I really didn't know where they stood.
That's true. I feel like in general, just because like I'm a senior now, I haven't like followed the juniors, like the juniors.
Not aware. Yeah.
I know like the Egyptians, of course, on the Penn team, and I know they're super strong, but I don't know like the rest of the lineup. But I saw the results. I knew that they were like very strong. Like they, like losing in the final last year is like a very good motivation in general to like work hard. So I knew like it was always going to be like tough against Penn.
Yeah.
Could we like have had like some different results in like the first 2 waves that might have like made things easier? I think so, but again, like it could also like I think, do we lose any match in 5? Yeah, we lost like 2 matches in 5, the number 9 spot and the number 5 spot. Both tie breaks, like 1 11-9 and like 1 12-7 or 15-11. So like these could have like easily like worked
flip-flopped.
Exactly, worked in our favor, and we could have like won like 6-3 or 7-2, and they could have like same thing, like last matches they could have just won. So to answer your question, like I also kind of didn't know how strong they were until like they started the season, and like they had like very convincing victories over like strong teams. So yeah, like now
would you say they are your biggest title threats to your national run?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Not to take anything away from other teams, of course, but like I think they're proving it right now. Like they haven't lost any other match except to us. They're playing Princeton right now. I don't know the scores on that.
That should be a good one. Yeah, that should be a really good one. I was going to ask something else about how feisty do these matches get? Like both on and off the court, because tensions are really high, and obviously with how much it means to both teams.
Yeah.
As a casual fan, we're not really there at the venue. Does it get rowdy, and just paint the picture for us on how?
Yeah, I feel like when it was this year, it wasn't that heated like outside, but even like inside, I don't feel like maybe like some matches there was like some heat on court, but this year it wasn't as like twice as last year, I would say. Like, last year,
why don't we talk about that? Because I realized I didn't really get you on since you guys won that nationals. I know there was crazy controversy over that.
Yeah, I mean, because, like last year, you have a very strong number one. We have like the defending champions who like were kind of even with the number one seed, competing for one title. And like, I don't know how it like worked out, but like Nationals was on their home courts, so.
Were you a bit upset that it was at their facility, or do you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially during like in that year where like they have their like best
shot, yeah.
Exactly. So obviously like the nerves were high from our side and from like their side. It's like that kind of weekend where like every person you're trying to like bring to the squash courts. I mean, like that's from like the Penn side. Like they're trying to bring everyone, be like the loudest, like be kind of intimidating to like any other team they're playing. So I think that was like from the get going, from like literally Friday, it was gonna like us walking into their squash center. It was very.
They made sure you guys weren't welcome in that facility.
Yeah. Exactly. The nerves were like very, very real, and National is always tricky because like you don't play them like straight away. Like you go through like different matches before you play them. And like I saw like Giddy talk, of course, about like their path to the final, and like of course it wasn't easy, but I think it wasn't easy for us as well. Like we also like had tough matches to play. We had like higher seeds because we were like the lower ranked team to play, so it was always gonna be like tough. We were always gonna like reach the final, like not feeling the best, like not feeling very fresh, but they had the home court advantage, over all of that. So I think first wave was kind of shocking to us because we were like,
I think it shocked everyone. Yeah,
we lost like first match decisively, and then we were 2-0 down both, and the two of the in both like of the remaining like first wave games, and like Victor, who's like our like solid stone, was like 2-0 down. But I remember like Sam Sherrill telling me, hey man, because we like Sam was on second and I was on third, and so like we weren't watching, we were just like doing our own thing, like warming up. It was like, if we want anyone to be like 2-0 down and come back, it's like Victor, and like he did it, like he came back, which might have been like a very decisive match. But also like all I can think about that day was like Ido playing the decider when it's 4-all, like he hasn't started yet. He's warming up with like all these like Penn fans just cheering against
screaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is what I'm gonna miss so much, right? Because you don't get that in like PSAs.
Nope.
You don't get that like anywhere else. Like it's the heat of like the moment. It's like how much like you can handle that. How much like if you beat them there, you can like feel good about like letting all these people down in like a good way. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if you've probably watched the stream. You probably heard like how loud they were.
Yeah, it was unbelievably loud. And I remember that decision which I've talked countless times on this podcast as well, between Victor and Andrew, which everyone's saying that's the controversy right there. But I mean, what is done is done. But I guess I have to ask you, what did you think of that call on the floor?
Listen, like my answer might be like, people might say like I'm biased, but I thought it was like, it wasn't that crazy, given like what was happening in general, like,
context of the
decisions in general throughout the match. Because like if Victor, like I feel like if Victor played that shot and Andrew, let me put it that way, like if the match was more like free flowing, it would have maybe been a no let. But because it wasn't free flowing, because there were like so many instances where like Victor was not granted like direct access to the ball, like he was, like, it was just like, wasn't given like a clear path, a clear line. So that's what made it like, oh yeah, that's fine. And like you see that like all the time in like college squash matches in general. So like I'm pretty sure like if you watch Edo's match, you're gonna see like insane decisions, which I witnessed like firsthand, but like no one talks about it because it wasn't maybe as in a crucial time. But like I always say like whoever asks me, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't that surprised. Like if I was refereeing, I might have given it that as well. So.
I see. No bias in that whatsoever. But I guess also now moving on to what would wrap up your college season would be the individuals. And I remember we talked last year about it. And how are you feeling about going into this year's individuals? And I know you had a tough one in last year.
Yeah.
Speaking of Andrew, you were up against Andrew in that.
Yeah. Last year was definitely like not how I wanted my, individuals to be, my run. Andrew played like a really good match. He like was very accurate throughout each game in the beginning and like closing it out. I felt like I think I could have played better in like certain parts of the match, which could have been like, very, which could have like influenced like the match outcome, of course. But again, like I watched the match with Mike a few times. I'm working on some stuff from that match because it was like kind of not how I like wanted to go down because I felt like I could.
It upset you, yeah.
I mean, even like Andrew's played like super well. Andrew's like a person or like a player who like I don't mind losing to, but I felt like I could have given like a better fight that day. Could have like, given him like a better match in general. So, like I'm lucky to get another chance, another shot for like the individual title this year. And it's gonna be very, very like tough with like everyone there. Like there's so many like names.
Yeah,
right now.
I think a couple people on Instagram were asking who you feel are the biggest competitors to your individual collegiate champs run. I guess we've kind of already mentioned the names. But
exactly.
For the time being, it seems like you've locked up the first seed spot. Just for the time being, I know we still got a couple matches left, but
I think I mean, it depends on like how like I do. I think with Matthias, but I feel like I can think right now of like 5 names that like are playing super well this year, even though they might have not been like favorites last year, like might have not been mentioned last year, but this year they're playing so well and they have a shot of like of causing like big upsets throughout the draw. I think like my mindset going into the match is like taking every single match very seriously from the beginning, like knowing that like the moment I just like get kind of complacent or just too like confident, I know like someone could just be having a good day and like take me down. So definitely like wanna just like put in like a better fight than I did last year in terms of like squash wise, like physically be like more ready for it, and like mentally just like be more prepared to like for like bigger battles.
Well, that's fair. I think I'm gonna now ask the main question of today's interview. I think we're 30 minutes in, and I'm sure Marwan knew this question was coming, and I've asked him on our last pod as well with your CSA. He already knows what the fuck I'm asking. With your CSA career is coming to a close. All right, fuck, I'm not going to like draw this question out, but are you going professional? What's happening?
I like the intro, and I like the
everything is scripted here. I know exactly what I was doing.
So it's very hard because like I literally get asked that question a lot, and
I'm not even kidding. I don't mean to interrupt. I got over 10 questions on the Instagram asking about what you're going to do professionally.
No way.
I got over 10 questions on it, and then I just find it a little bit funny that you always play at least like 10K a year, and you win it, and you give the casual fans like maybe a hint of like I'm going pro, and then you just don't play any professional tours. So we genuinely have no idea where you stand on it. But I know I've asked you last year, but wanted to get an update on where your headspace is at.
Yeah, absolutely. So like here's the thing, like if you noticed, when do I play like those tournaments? It's usually like in
Right
the
before.
first month or the second month of the fall, right? And I just like I don't think like I'm very honest like with myself. I'm not like Victor. I'm not like even like Ali Abu. I'm not like Yusuf. I can't like balance between the two. I think like my classes here, like the team practices, like there's just like the social life here. I just can't have that and just go play like tournaments on the weekend or like even during the week and organize to like take a test like later. I'm not that kind of person, or like in general. So I feel like I play when I can. I obviously love the sport so much. Like I love playing squash in general. Like I love college squash. So right now, I think this is like where my decision is gonna like affect the next 10 years of my life. So it's very very like I know you want an answer, but I honestly still don't know. Like I love the game so much too. Like I want to really like try it, but then I also like look at the people like my age, where like Victor's top 10 now in the world, like Asador number 1, it's like top 20 now. So it's that question where like, oh, am I too late to the game? Versus like, oh, I still love the sport so much. I still like I have it in me. Like I have the results that could like make me like get in there. So it's still like I'm just waiting to like finish this like season, have my like senior spring to like think about, oh, am I built for that? Maybe play a few tournaments after the squash season, but like take of course like a week or two off first, and then decide if like, oh, I would want to like play a few tournaments and how these tournaments are going to work out. But at the moment, I unfortunately do not have an answer.
I honestly think that's a better answer than I was expecting. I was hearing from noises from the rumorvilles here left and right saying that Marwan's probably not going pro, but that doesn't seem like a no to me as an answer. It's not like a fully committed yes, but neither a no. But I think that's brutally honest of an answer. But what do you, if I were to dig deeper into, I mean, have you spoke with, I'm sure you've spoken in depth with other people about it as well. Is there certain aspects of the sport that turns you off? Is it like, for example, the money? I'm sure like if this had, prize pool money as tennis, I'm sure it could be maybe a different story. Or is it the lifestyle that you don't think is that appealing?
Yeah, I feel like, so over COVID, I don't know if, I don't think I mentioned that in the last podcast. I played pro for like 6 months. But it was, unfortunately, I think it was like not a good time to just decide to go pro, because I was only playing satellites, and playing satellites in Cairo is like a nightmare, because like first, like I was like 20 at the time, so like I'm not a junior anymore, so you got all these like very talented juniors trying to like
come down your neck.
Exactly. And then you got like the senior guys who like already established like their name, kind of also like playing those tournaments. So it was just like a very tough time. It was like a very stressful lifestyle where like you're not a junior anymore, so you don't have like a set schedule. Like you go to like school, you come back, you like go to the gym, finish the gym, like head to like your squash practice with your coach, and then finish and play team practice. No, it's not like that anymore. Like it's like every week could look different. Like you need to have the motivation every single day to like, get better and like just keep working like on your own, in a way that I didn't think it was like that tough. But then after 6 months, I was like, I didn't get like the results I wanted. Obviously, like I wasn't moving up the rankings the way I wanted, or like the way I was expecting. So it kind of like dragged me down a little bit. But again, like this is like when you're like deeply like into it. But then when you're like not playing squash, like in like during the season, like the school year, and then you see other people like just like having the results and just like moving up the rankings like very convincingly, and just like enjoying their time on tour. You wish you wish you were there. You wish like you were in the shoes. So
Yeah.
it's very, very, very like confusing in the sense of like, do I fit into that lifestyle? Like, if I chose to do that, is it gonna, will the next 10 years of my life be the way I planned it to be, or like be the way that I would like ideally have, or am I just too late into the game? So that's,
I see. I mean, not to,
what I think about every day.
I mean, yeah, it must be tough. I mean, not to be the guy to try to convince you right now, but I do think, I mean, being a big fan, I think when I was younger, I think you were the one who was on top of the list always. I think you have, I mean, even seeing you at college, I think you have what it takes. Not to do with like a sales pitch on you right now saying you should go professional. But as of now, are you planning to go home to Egypt after you graduate, or?
I mean, like, I think it depends on the decision, right? Like, if I decided to play squash, I would ideally go back.
There's no better place.
Yeah, exactly. If I decided not to, maybe I'll like, pursue like, job opportunities here in the US, because I have a good like friend group. I have like a lot of, just like friends from like the squash team, for like past like alumni on the squash team. I have like friends from like my class in general at Harvard. So I would want to spend a few years.
For sure, yeah. I know we spoke on our last pod how lively Marwan's social life is in the nighttime scene.
Did we talk about it?
We did. we won't expose you too much on with a lot of listeners. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. Do I think we've convinced Marwan to go professional? I don't know if we're there yet, but we're just glad to hear no, I'm not going pro, Sean. How do you put an answer? So I think that's the best we'll do. But I know we've done the quick fire segment last time, but which is why I'm not going to repeat it. But there's one segment I think would be fun to do with you. I think it's the build the perfect player that I've been doing with certain players. So here's the deal. We're going to build the perfect player, but you can only use active players on tour right now, or even college squash. And also there's no shame in choosing yourself in any of these questions. So okay. I know you have the confidence for it, but who do you think has the best forehand in the game?
Forehand, I think. I think Yusuf Ibrahim had the best forehand. I think it's just like I love watching him in general. Like we're very good friends, but like in general, like since I was a kid, when we would even play against each other, I've always loved just watching Yusuf, watching like how he moves, like how his racket just like moves around, and I feel like he has one of the most dangerous forehands on tour.
It's a bit unorthodox how he lines up for it.
Yeah.
It's but really glad to see him back. I caught the Motor City games. Oh, Jesus.
I feel like he's got so much to show and so much to just like offer the PSA, and I'm super excited to just watch the next few months for him, because I know like he has it in him to just like literally be world number one. So
and best backhand again.
Best backhand. That's very tough,
There's a lot of good ones out there.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I might be biased because like I like him so much, but I would go with Abulgar.
Wow, you're only picking the comeback people, right?
Yeah. I just feel like they call him the bullet for like a reason, right? I just feel like every single one of his like shots are like very like accurate and just like straight to the target. So I just love watching his swing, and I like watching just his technique in general.
Yeah, no, I think the 2023 year has been great right now, because I think a lot of people might have even forgotten Abu Algar and also Yusuf, because they've been out for a good amount of period of time. But it's like, nope, you're not safe in the top 10 right now. Exactly. These guys are back. But how about best movement in the game?
Ali Farag.
Wow. It's either injured or coming back people that Marwan are picking.
Oh yeah. I actually like just I didn't think of that, but now that you mention it, it's I don't know, maybe because I haven't seen them in a while, so I just miss the way they play. But but I think if you ask maybe like 8 out of every 10 people you ask are gonna say Ali Farag for movement.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's been blessed. I also think he is blessed with the body type he has. It's unbelievable. And finally, best mental game.
Best mental game. Sure, Maggie. No.
Oh yeah.
He's a beast. Like it's because I also like before my last World Juniors, I like reached out to him because he was staying like a few weeks in Egypt, and he was like, I was like, hey Mo, I'm defending champ for the next World Juniors. I would like, and you've done it before, like you know how it works. So I would love to like train with you for a weekend. Like I'll come to Alexandria if you want. Mm-hmm. That's easier. And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's like have this upcoming weekend. And like I went and stayed in Marwan Tarek room actually. And just like the talks I had with him about like how he approaches the game and just like how he goes into every match like with that mentality or like mindset of just like he's not gonna lose. It's just like
what would you say is like the biggest difference? Do you think it's the hunger that he has for it?
Yeah, just like how badly he always wants it. Like he's definitely the athlete in our sport that like best signifies like I want it more than anyone else, and you have that mentality in like every sport. I feel like you watch The Last Dance in basketball and you see like Michael Jordan, how he just like had this mentality of like, oh, I'm not gonna lose. I'm just like in big moments I'm gonna be there.
I think you have to be a bit petty and a little bit like borderline way too competitive to have, and you see that with any sports. Like when you're like looking as an outsider, it's like that's not normal. But I feel like if you need to make it to the top of the game, you kind of need that in you. But I guess I kind of want to ask you to wrap it up. Do you think he has it in him to go back to world number one before his career's over at this point, or do you think he might be a tiny bit too late for that?
I mean, I think if I say no, he might take the no.
Take it personally.
And like it's like, oh, I'm gonna prove him wrong. But I feel like with the Shurbergi that I talked with, and like the one that like is giving me advice of like on like so many things, I think like he definitely has it in him. Like he can literally have the season, like the most consistent season of his life, and just like get back to the world number one.
Yeah,
I mean it's gonna be very tough with like
so tough
with the physicality because he's like getting older. Like he's been doing that for so long, so it's like tough on the body. But I think if there's a guy to do it, like at his age, after everything he's been through, I think it's him. Yeah.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. We built Marwan's perfect player. I think we'll wrap it up there, folks. Again, Marwan, thank you for coming. Second time on. That was a great chat. Hopefully next year I'll be interviewing you again in the pro circuit.
Thanks a lot, John. I always enjoy our talks, and I'll be following the ones you do next.